442 Soccer for the PS1 was released in 1997 and published by Virgin Interactive. And this follows a long line of soccer games that were being released on the console during that period. You had the likes of FIFA 97, you also had the Adidas Power Soccer series, among many other experimental and yet inspirational titles that were starting to see life on the PlayStation at that time. This game does take somewhat of a different approach from your typical soccer games, while it does utilise aspects seen in older games, but it has a real roster of players with different abilities that you can manipulate and alter to help you progress throughout the game. And you also have access to a multitude of different international teams and even clubs that you can play as, depending on different types of modes, multiplayer, campaigns, tournaments, or whatever you want to get involved with. The game itself, when you compare it to other games, again, this was still a very relatively early soccer game, and football games were still trying to find their way. This was long before the days of the likes of FIFA 98 and ISS Pro 98, where they are considered to be two of the greatest football games ever to be on the PS1. So the likes of 442 would have been before that, so football games were still yet to find their place and to really kind of be more refined. And as a result, the game got relatively mixed and average reviews. And to many people, the game can be quite difficult to play and master, although there are plenty of reasons to play it, as there's a lot of content in the game, especially when the plethora of teams that are available to choose from the get-go, that you can play casually just in like friendly matches, or you can jump into tournaments. So there's more than enough opportunities to get involved with the content that's already in the game. Now, I know myself, I heard about this game back in the day, but I never really seen copies of it floating around in game stores. So it was relatively a hard game to find for the most part, and I was always interested to see what it was like and even what it looked like and played, but having spent time with it, you definitely know that it's an earlier title. It is playable, but it is very, very difficult. Yes, it is fast paced, but the controls are very clunky. Even on the easiest difficulties, I found that the AI can be quite aggressive, which I suppose kind of relates to the somewhat mixed reviews that the game got, because again, it wasn't as refined compared to other soccer games. It was a bit kind of like all over the place. There was so much going on and everything was happening so fast, you didn't really have time to react or interact with everything, because before you knew it, the AI was that aggressive that they would have the ball nearly stuck in the net before you even know what was going on, because the game was just frantic, it was just end-to-end stuff. If anything, I find with a lot of these types of games, even these older type of PS1 games, and even a lot of games I've seen and played on the PS2, yes, they are playable to some degree, but you can see why they got the reviews that they did. It's because in reality, and I don't really like to speak negatively of games because they all have their own unique preferences. There is things in this game and other games that definitely stand out compared to other more popular, more refined games. There's always something in every game that will stand out. But with the majority of these soccer games, if I'll be brutally honest, you feel like more of a glorified spectator than you actually do feel like a player, because even though you have control of the characters, 9 times out of 10 the only real player that you'll have any sort of control over is the goalkeeper, where you'll be picking the ball out of the net to kick it up the field, or you'll be just hitting a goal from a goal kick just to kick it up the pitch again, only to lose the possession and then to fight constantly trying to pick the right player and to try and get them to move in a position that you can even have a chance of getting the ball. And 9 times out of 10 you won't even get close to it, because the ball is taken off you as soon as you've actually gotten it. And trying to pass the ball, you can't even, it's very, very hard with these type of games to even string 2 passes together without messing it up or without someone taking the ball off you, because these older games, there were just, the AI was just, it wasn't refined, it wasn't dynamic, and it wasn't beginner friendly. It was relentless, and there was no room for any errors. But even at that, you didn't even have to create errors with these type of games, because everything was just so aggressive. You literally would just sit and just watch the game just play out, and just hope that if you did get a chance, that you might have a chance to score, which 9 times out of 10 you wouldn't, because again, the keeper on the other end would nearly catch everything you threw at it anyway. So that left a lot of frustration with a lot of these games. I know myself, and I've played a ton of football games on both the PS1 and PS2, and I found that a lot. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm great at football games, I'm not, but I know games that I can genuinely pick up and play and somewhat get into, versus games that, for me, that just feel genuinely unplayable. And honestly, this feels like one of those games that's more on the latter side, where it's unplayable. You won't really get much interaction with this game apart from just chasing around the place. Like I said, you're just really a glorified spectator at the end of the day, and that's all it really feels like, because at the end of the day, a lot of these games do do have some really cool features and dynamics, but they're just not well executed, if I'll be brutally honest. And I know I hate to sound negative with games, and I genuinely don't like doing that, but at the same time you also do have to be realistic, because that is the way it plays out when you're experiencing these games. They are worthwhile just to experience and just to try out, but I can guarantee you won't enjoy it. You might play one game of it and you'll quickly move on to something else. And in most cases, if you're building up a collection of games, if you're an avid collector, the chances are you won't even play this at all. You literally just get the game just added to your collection to fill up space on your shelf. That's about all you'll get out of it really, which in a lot of ways is a pity, but that's not the only game like that. There's quite a number of games like this on the PlayStation, even the PS2 as well, and even on more modern consoles. There's just games out there that just lack in the quality department, and even more the playability department, that just are not user friendly at all. So this game honestly wouldn't be for everybody. If you are looking for a more genuine game to get involved with, you would be better looking at the likes of FIFA 98 or any of the later FIFA games on the PS1, and even the ISS Pro games. Even in regard to the Adidas Power Soccer series, for me even, is much more playable, and you feel like you have a little bit more control over what's going on, even though those games are tough as well, but you genuinely have more of an interaction and some level of control over the game to a certain degree. So they would be your best bets, but it really just depends on your own preferences. You never know, you might actually like it. Some people might actually be able to figure this out, or if you did play it back in the day, you might have been able to master this. But I would love to know your thoughts on 442 Soccer for the PS1. If you have played it back in the day, and if so, what did you think of it overall? Be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be updated of future videos. And in the meantime, if you genuinely want to see more content around similar types of football games seen on the PS1, check out the playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.